Hello Weathering fans, and welcome to our 13th Race for Terra Community Spotlight, and the first one of 2022. In today's video you will have the chance to see 3 amazing and really unique projects. A set of 4 Finnish World War II tanks, a World Eater's Dreadnought, and a Machinen Krieger Dreadnought. Would you like to know more? This is Jake's second entry in our Community Spotlight, after an awesome Grim 251 back in September. Like that Grim 251, this Stock 3 is 3D printed, but unlike its predecessor, it's 100% historical without any sci-fi elements added to the mix. At 1/56th scale, this model, designed with a wargame bolt action in mind, is quite small, but check out the texture on the hull, both on the green panels and on the ones with the worn out winter camo. The tonal variation present on both counts is quite impressive if you ask me. But wait, there is more. Here's a little T-37, which has obviously seen better days. Again, the attention to detail present is quite remarkable. This ungainly T-28 with its peculiar triple turret provided a much larger canvas for Jake's lovely weathering. But I have to say that my favorite of the 4 Finnish tanks is this T-26. The rust effects on this one, and the combination of colors and textures, is just fantastic. Layer lines from the 3D printing process are faintly visible, but I know from experience that that is essentially impossible to avoid. The fact that Jake has been able to obtain such a beautiful finish out of a very small 3D printed model is just amazing. Jake mentioned that, being of Finnish descent himself, having a chance to recreate the Finnish forces for bolt action has been wonderful, especially with the advent of 3D printers. A seasoned scale modeler in the more traditional 1/35th scale, Jake explains that the biggest challenge was finding the correct balance between adding details and effects while keeping in mind that the scale of these models is much different than a 1/35th. Jake, I'm getting back into bolt action myself, and I highly doubt that I'll be able to paint and weather my equally tiny tanks to this standard. Really inspiring stuff. This is Lee's 3rd entry to date, after a Spitfire and a Mega Grot tank. So as you can see, she has switched gears and genres again. A prolific modeler with eclectic tastes, Lee likes to experiment and try new products and techniques. In this respect, Lee explains that this was only the 2nd time that she had ever applied chipping and other weathering techniques to a mostly white model, and that making it look as realistic as possible was an interesting challenge for her. She also explains that discussions in our Discord community really helped her find the most realistic places for weathering to happen on a sci-fi model like this, especially when it comes to the curved armor plates. Lee concludes that what she enjoyed the most in the process was the mud splatters and also the rust streaks, and that once his World Eater's Dreadnought made his first kill, he'd be getting not only a name but also blood effects. Well, Lee, you know that I'm really partial to blood effects, and good luck on that first game. We all live in fear of the dreaded new model syndrome. Be that as it may, and as an ex-World Eaters player myself now, I think this Dreadnought is an excellent example of the best that Horus Heresy modeling has to offer. For me, it represents very well the frayed, battered nature of the 12th Legion. As for its name, how about a poll on our Discord? This is TJ's 2nd entry in our Community Spotlight, after a fantastic Tiger 1 tank, which he completed for our Tiger group build back in June. As you can see, TJ has changed genres completely, and also scales. This is a 1/20th Machinen Krieger model by Hasegawa, called the White Knight prototype. Yes, I know that's quite a mouthful. TJ explains that the biggest challenge for him was freehanding the orange and red camo without making it look too garish. I'm sure you will agree with me that he did an excellent job with that. For TJ, it's really important to avoid using the same techniques over and over again. He tells us that for this build, he focused almost entirely on using oil paints, specifically the oil brushers from Ammo, which you know I'm also partial to. TJ's work with this frankly outlandish model is absolutely fantastic. But for me, there are 2 things that really stand out above everything else. First of all, the texture on the field gray armor panels, which is delightful, and secondly, the chipping on the gun which really conveys the idea of a distant but believable dystopian future. I would like to point out that TJ is one of the hosts of the Plastic Posse podcast, the PPP, a bi-weekly scale modeling podcast for all genres, scales, and ability levels. TJ and his crew cover all things plastic and resin, from Warhammer to military models. If you haven't tried it yet, give it a listen, and maybe try episode 15, in which I had the honor to participate myself. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's Spotlight. Like I said at the start, this is the 13th one already, since I started the channel, which is really hard to believe. Honestly, I'm really proud of the community that we have created together. As always, I would like to thank all my Patreon supporters, who not only help me keep the lights on, but as you can see here, they help me make our Discord a place where we can all learn from each other. Thank you all, and remember, keep it up and weather it out.